Hey, everybody, welcome out to the AI Think Tank podcast. For our 10th episode, I have Kunal, Dalal, and Wes Kreisel from Orange County Department of Education in California. These two guys have been making waves with students, teachers, and parents, and the overall success of everyone who's in public schools across over 20 districts last time I checked. And it's incredible to have both of you out. So good morning, and how's it going, Wes, Kunal?
It's
Oh,
great.
it's
Glad
going
to be
great.
here.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely thrilled to be here.
Right. We're all on the West Coast today, so it's another one of those kind of shows. I looked at the weather. It's nice there. It's nice here. And we got a lot of juice to go around. So we'll just start with
The juice.
this is it. Yeah. So hey, everybody, if you haven't followed this, the stories behind these two gentlemen, they've been really doing a great job of facilitating uh very intelligent students and teachers out there who really want to take the reins and do something about this technology right now as it stands. And I've never seen anything like this. And I've spent, I don't know, weeks waiting to do this. It was over a month ago, I think, that this came out. It was like April, back in April, you guys came out on NBC and with Hetty Chang, and it was just amazing. So, I tell you what, I'd like to share this just to kick things off right now. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to share that.
Not too long ago, the use of artificial intelligence seemed like the wave of the future, but AI is here and its advocates are embracing it, especially when it comes to education. Our Hetty Chang met two educators uniquely qualified to talk about AI.
Do they have a phone interface?
Their roles are so new they don't have a real office yet. But physical space matters much less to this two-man team because their specialty is artificial intelligence.
My partner Wes and I have been looking for other colleagues, and we haven't found one in the country.
Kunal Dalal and Wes Kreisel are quite possibly the only artificial intelligence specialists in public education in the country.
We really shower everybody with the positive uses. And one of the things that we have noticed, which is sort of unexpected, is how deep our human connections are starting to get because of AI.
Their job is to help guide Orange County school districts through how, when, and why to use AI in education.
We have to think creatively about these tools and how we're going to use them for good. So I think there is no limits when you have human creativity coming to the solution.
Kreisel gives an example of how he uses AI to generate a more thoughtful conversation with a group of fifth graders. ChatGPT comes up with,
what's one hobby you enjoy doing in your free time? If you have any superpower, what would it be and why?
They also showed us how AI can help with creative storytelling.
And so then I ask it, create a 4-image sequence that tells the story.
And speaking of stories, they taught us how AI can enhance ours.
We learned how to use AI to create some content, including what you're watching right now, which is not me, but rather an AI-generated version of me.
The technology is mind-boggling, and it hasn't come without criticism. Some school districts across the country banned AI. Others feel like it takes away from critical thinking and imagination. Kunal says it's all about perspective.
This doesn't replace, this actually elevates. And so my son, who's 4, may not even have the capacity to really imagine that deeply, but now he can go from there to I have no idea where he can go.
What is the number one question you get about AI?
Really, it's in the educational setting, it has been, is it okay to use it or not? And really our answer consistently is there actually isn't a choice in the future. Like we are all going to be using it. It's already here.
In Fountain Valley, Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
Great. So anyways, you both led a summit, okay? And I'd like for you guys to talk about this because this was an incredible revolution in student leadership. And I don't know. I mean, I saw so many photos from this and followed it. It took me a month to absorb everything that happened from that and then read your posts. So, and I shared it with a lot of people everywhere. So let's start out. Wes, how did that begin? I know you started in what, like last year, November, December kind of time?
Yeah, like November 27th was my first day, and we had an entry plan of 100 conversations about AI in 100 days. And so that was really focused on listening. And about 20 conversations in, we're like, the adults are talking about AI, but what are the students saying? So we started to ask purposefully, like, connect me with a student who's using AI and they're passionate about it and obsessive about it. And adults were kind of torn. They're like, well, students they're not supposed to use it. And there was kind of this layer of sometimes we just have like um, a level of ignorance that we like to hold on to. And one teacher said, there's a student I had 2 years ago. I don't have him now, but he's in the hallway and he's passionate about GPT because he's on it every single time I pass by. So conversations with students like that, where we got to see into their world, we quickly realized they're using it at different levels and different perspectives than adults, and we really knew that that was something that we had to lean into. And we're like, okay, most of our conversations should be with students because they're so different than the adults, and so we're getting much more interesting data and interesting perspectives to kind of pursue.
Right. I mean, ultimately, they're going to be the ones benefiting from it directly right then,
Yeah.
in the best of ways. And I mean, it changes the engagement. I mean, it's like, Kunal, it's like you said, I mean, this brings a human element into the fold even stronger. I mean, it connects people, it brings people together. Look, it's a bonfire, it's not just a campfire, it's a bonfire at this point. Look how many people have gathered together around this and from different sectors and different walks of life. I mean, it's incredible. It's just like the new electricity in a way. But with that comes the, everyone's concerns and the actual limits of something and what things really are. And it's a mindful thing that we practice to say, this is a guessing machine. This predicts, and to not believe it, and to understand that even a citation could be wrong. And it's important to engage. It re-engages learning, because if you can quickly pull together resources for you to then intelligently parse through with your human mind, hey, that's good work. Okay. But if you do that without due diligence and you don't check it, then you're taking a risk. And you can go through life thinking things are a certain way and things will work out most of the time for you, and you wouldn't know the difference. It isn't that way. It's just a statistic, at times,
Yeah.
and especially with something that's already guessing, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the late 90s, there was some software. It was just above DOS level stuff for computers, but it was called Babel. And what it did is it let you type in some words, and it would start generating sort of like Transformers do, not the same architecture, but it would just start coughing up paragraphs of weird story. And it wasn't copying from anything else. It just hobbled it together, and it was so strange. And I remember playing with that. And then later on, when Siri came out, and that was like, oh, this engagement with a robot, and finally it's like, oh, we're getting our sci-fi. But now it's, in the last 2 years, things have went from me going, chatbots, whatever, to going, man, I use this every day for research now. And I'm that student. We are those students. This is something that, while we don't have the same concerns as someone that's that age and young and high school or middle school or any grade school, what have you, we have our set of concerns and our needs to use something like this quickly. And you will fall into that. You don't want to fall into the trap of believing it every time, okay. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of these tools are becoming free. I know you've noticed, but a lot of these tools are becoming free. Okay. And there's some that are made for educators, and some that, like ChatGPT 4.0, they've released a certain amount of its usefulness for free. And that's great. And I really do. And I've paid for it for a long time for a certain amount of things. But now I use a lot of at-home, private, personal, secure stuff for free that works on home hardware. And I'm getting great results. So I've been working with a lot of different people in a lot of different areas to try to bring that home, and democratize AI and for learning and all sorts of things. And so to come back,
that's actually like, as you bring that up, I'll just jump in real quick. Like, that's something that Wes and I are working on ourselves. We have a Mac studio in our office where we run a local instance of Llama. Actually, I think we've got Mistral going as well. And our goal is to actually see if we can figure out how communities of parents, that's going to be our first target, and then we'll move on from there. But how communities of parents might be able to pull together to be able to have a machine robust enough to actually run a local LLM at a reasonable speed, right? Like, so it's not just like every 5 seconds a word comes out. But we wonder, like, if that's sort of a next step, maybe not right? There's no the next step, but maybe a next step in providing secure. Because I can imagine, okay, a group of 20 parents decide, hey, let's all go in on a community AI that is locally run. We don't need to worry about it going out into the world. It's ours. Like this isn't open AI's. This isn't anybody else's. This is ours to have. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Daniel, because it is something that we feel like is actually going to be a big force for like almost like liberating generative AI for parents who may otherwise not even be able to pay for it, or may not even want to pay for it. And you know, there's like folks who have some real, I think, important and you know, righteous pushback against the sort of big AI as it's now slowly being called. And I don't think we should just be saying, no, you've got to use AI. We should find ways to respect that sort of conscientious kind of withdrawal, you know, from it. And so anyway, so I appreciate you bringing up the local LLMs, because I think it's critical.
I've got good news for you. So I'm a member and a sponsor of Kwai. That's KWAAI. That's down in LA and the whole, just all of the Bay Area, California. We have so many members, like over 300 members, and big names too, from Hollywood to security. And they all care about democratizing AI. And a lot of the goals that we're talking about right now are community edge servers, like a utility that people can use. And so good news for you guys is a lot of the research and scaling and things that I've been finding that you can do locally can be done for free at the cost of the hardware and running it. And I mean, completely open source, provably manageable with user management, all ready to go. I've been using it at home already. That's something I want to share with you guys later. Okay.
That's great.
And I have a whole community of people who want to help on this. All right. So it's exciting.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys are in a good position for it too. So, I mean, I know that you can, where you're at now and the traction you have, you could probably implement a trial of something like this locally, you know, and consider, I mean, even with just CPU power, you say, well, if they're even, okay, I have this really low end HP laptop, got 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's very low end, but even it can crank out using 5.3 from Microsoft. Okay. Which runs pretty quickly. And, you know, that's at a basic level. But if you want to do things where it's not getting knowledge or it's doing any kind of other search, you know, you have to have something a little bit more robust. So, but it's not a huge step up. And so you could say, well, if for every student you needed a computer like that, about that big or that much power behind the scenes, and are they using it all at once? And, oh, no. Oh, okay. So it's approachable, especially if you said, oh, we want to make this available to certain grades or like just high school right now, just try it out, you know, and in one district where people would want to support that. And I'm sure you could get sponsors even because that's something that I work with is a lot of what we do at Kwai is actually focused on colleges. So a lot of different colleges. Atlanta has a lot of traction right now too. We've got people at the Arizona State. They're looking at MIT. There's just a lot of hands in the mix because you have these big players out there where they're like 3 or 4 of them. And then you have everybody else. Okay. And I mean, that's the citizens, that's the populace. And we need to control our data. We need to have that private, secure connection with it, especially for education, academia. You don't want a model that's overtrained on all these other things and to get it mixed up into something that's going to be really focused on a set of curriculum. You could take a model and tune it just for 1 year of curriculum for one class, you know, and have that be a switch over and then someone's using the other one or whatever. There's a lot. That's just an idea. I could be totally wrong about it.
Yeah. And we're also talking about parents who speak different languages, right? And we tune these to their specific languages,
right?
And then we have a community of like you know, parents who have their same sort of native language or language that they grew up speaking, and then that not just opens up the power of these LLMs, but also like they get to be seen, right? These parents now who often don't feel like they're actually included in the conversation. Hey, guess what? You have your own AI in your language tuned to the cultural norms and the things that you care about. I mean, that's powerful.
Right. It is. It is. I've got Aya. It's AYA. You can download it for free on Olama, and it does over 120 something languages. But recently they added a lot more. and to make it up to that level. And it's great. And it's very highly rated right now. And a lot of these models will do other languages. It just stands, but it's not as good as something that's made for it. And so the Aya, I think it's a version of Llama 3 8B,
Okay.
something small that actually has a lot more extensive language reach, and it pops up the characters. Okay, it goes, I mean, even on the command line it will show you the actual, whatever the characters are in that language. So it's extensive. And I have people around the world who test stuff like this. I have a friend who is involved in bulk localization of languages for corpus of data, be it academic or otherwise, literature and other things. And so I'm involved quite a bit with people who are polyglots, who speak multiple languages, who can test this stuff and go, oh yeah, that's really good. Or my group and I will test it and laugh because it got that wrong, And so it needs to be functional. It can't be this insulting thing that half knows the language. It's important to have that equity in there and to have that honor and respect for culture. That's so often missed these days, but we're getting to that, but anyway, so what do you think? You have a break now, you have summer, right? You have a little bit of time, both of you. So Wes, I suppose you're going to catch some waves, you're going to surf a little bit there. Yeah. You guys are going to find some more tracks for your next podcast when you do another one. You guys have so much fun. I have a blast watching. Anyway, so I have the Orange Juice AI webpage up over here. I mean, I think I'm going to share that in the chat for people just so they have this. But anyone local who's in Orange County, who doesn't know about this, this is definitely something to share. And for anyone else, do you have any other
I've got the logo shirt on too today.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
Nice
right.
work.
We actually, for everybody who, let's see if I can remove my spotlight. Yeah, you can see the branded orange juice. I got you guys in here for our backdrop. So anyways,
that's incredible.
I need to get one of those for myself. But anyways, so let's see. So what have been tell us about the summit, because to me this is like, it was like a one-day event, right? And one of the districts.
So I think Wes sort of described kind of the background of like how we decided to even do it. But like this came from, we were at the Anaheim Deeper Learning Summit. We'd brought some students, and the students they enjoyed their time. They by the end of it they were like, oh, we want this to go more days. And but one of the things they said early on was, look, they're talking a lot about students. They're talking a lot about how students learn or how this is going to help students. But like, we're right here, and they could just come and ask us, and like we could just, we don't need to theorize around it. And so basically in that moment, we were like, why don't we put on a student version of this, and let's do it before the end of the school year. And this was already, it was already March, I think it was. And so we didn't have a whole lot of time. And so we were like, okay, testing season is this time. Here's when AP testing is. Here's when this testing is. So we have this 1 week after spring break before testing season. We're going to do it that week. We put it together in 6 weeks. It was supposed to be, we had envisioned, okay, maybe we'll get 50 kids together in a school gym. And then it ended up being a 600, 700 person event at the JW Marriott. Students did the keynotes, 14 breakout sessions they led. And Daniel, I appreciate you having watched some of those sessions as well, because it was really, it was moving. Like, you're talking about students who, not only are we talking about AI, we're not, but really AI is almost like just like an excuse, really, for students to just actually be able to talk to us about what they need in their learning. And we are so lucky to have AI come in this moment that's shaking us so deeply that we can no longer pretend to listen anymore. Now we have to genuinely listen.
That's right.
And so we had students coming out. Wes shared this example the other day when we were doing a training, but one of our students came out and was like, we were like, how did it go? And he says, oh, it went terrible. I can't wait to do it again. And like, that's, that's the kind of thing that you get to do when you empower students to get up there and they talked about AI safety, they talked about AI in medicine, they talked about AI in social justice. They talked about one student had a startup and talked about how the student was doing a startup. It's actually a ride sharing app in Seattle called iWingo. And so it was, and then we had industry partners. So the students walked around and got their little swag bags like you do when you go to a conference. They had little like electronic little business cards that they got from somebody. They played with drones. We had Apple Vision Pros. They put on Apple Vision Pros and kind of lived in the metaverse for a minute. It was, I mean, just the energy of it. We had two of our interns who produce our podcast. They were, they're student producers. They were there doing a podcast. And like you said, it took you a month to absorb everything. I don't feel like Wes and I have yet absorbed everything.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah.
that was that complete an experience.
Yeah, blog out everything. You have a moment where you're like, oh yeah, there was that one little situation, that gem of insight. Blog about it, write it down, because this is an epic story, man. I mean, this is like a dream come true, and like, what was it, through 2 weeks ago or so, I was doing a special on the opposite of this in Texas, where teachers are getting fired, people are prematurely implementing technology without vetting and low test, unverified testing, and a lot of money grabs. Oh, the kid would fail a test that was robot, AI graded. They would have to pay $50 to get it graded by a human. If it was in fact wrong, then they wouldn't have to pay that $50. But if it was wrong on the AI grade, then they were right and the AI was right, then they would have to pay that $50 and not pass. So it's a poor tax. It's like overdraft fee. It's like selling academic future for someone holding money somewhere. And the teachers need to get paid. I get that, right? But the whole scheme was completely dubious. All right, out of the gate,
and it just, you're building in such mistrust between everyone.
A bad foot out the gate. I mean, look, you're not exactly like a leader in AI. All they could have been with this. They could have been maybe not a leader, but a shining example of how to do something and implement it right, and then graduate those graders to some other aspect of that system, because you can elevate education with this. It doesn't have to replace it. Augments it. It enhances. It adds power to. This is a drill. A power drill versus a hand crank. Or like a calculator versus an abacus. You still need that worker. And there's a point where things are going to fall apart, and people are going to be paying lots of money to fix all this broke stuff that doesn't work in an automated way they thought it would. And you're going to have this huge backlash. We'll save that and be careful to begin with. And we can all do some due diligence, and we can find that testing the waters in different safe ways, like what you guys have done, has been incredible. And it's never just that easy, like there are places, like I said before the show, like I have friends that don't have the best internet connections depending on where they are in the world. I have friends that may or may not have this trickle of a technology like water, like we do on the West Coast. It's incredible. Like what we have is outstanding. But as things go and localization happens, and more communities and cities and cultures all around the world are getting to participate in this, we have to be a light for that, and to invite people to participate in that, and to make it easy, and to make this an inviting affair, because it's not this overwhelming technical thing. It is technical, sure, but it doesn't have to be. We're all used to the internet by now. We get it. We understand, oh, this is an electronic communication. Oh, this is a thing that does this, it's just, oh, here's a machine that guesses. Okay, and treat it like that, and be cool and be safe about it, because to think that it reasons right now is far from the truth, and it'll sound so real and so legit, and you can have deep conversations that help you get through something. It can bring you to tears. And yeah, it's not.
Oh, it has many times.
It's not. it's real to a limit, but it's not reasoning the same way. And as much as we'd like to anthropomorphize it and to give it that human quality and to project ourselves into it. So Anyway, I'm into the human element, actual intelligence, AI. Okay. And so that's just my favorite part about it is the engagement, because I think as someone who is learning now, as I am that student now, still learning things, and it helps me. And guess what? It doesn't always magically solve my problem for learning. It can be, it take me 15 minutes to get through something. I might not understand some formulaic situation, on something and go, oh, that's why should I use this here? And then talk about it and go, okay, please explain it for the 50th time to me. And at least has that patience, right? But then even if
and it's like, but that's that mirror, right? And that's what you're talking about. Like when it's bringing you to tears, it's not bringing you to tears because of itself. You're actually bringing yourself to tears.
That's right.
Like that's what's happening. Like what AI is doing is reflecting you back on yourself, and it's a vulnerable place to be. It's can be a discomforting place to be. But if the more and more we embrace that vulnerability, that's how we can unleash the humanity that AI can offer us. But we have to be vulnerable. We have to allow it to affect us. And we talk about Wes and I talk about first order and second order uses of AI. First order uses just being sort of creating digital resources, letters of rec, agendas like emails, whatever, all of that. And then second order is when it becomes a mirror for yourself, and you actually start to engage with it in a way that challenges you. And I know Wes talks to me all the time about using Pi and using other
love Pi
empathetic models and all of that. So Wes, I'm sure you got plenty to say about that.
Yeah, go for it, Wes. Pi is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the things that I think I think one of our kind of key cornerstones of our work is trying to help people move from a transactional or first order use to a transformational or second order use. And that's always, I will say, kind of tricky, because first order use is it's helping you do something you need to do. I need to write this blank. Can it help me write this blank? And then when you get to the second order of use, it's really more helping you achieve something that might be in your heart or your soul, and it's not defined, it's not a task, it's not an assignment. And so one of the ways we actually do that is kind of a collaborative use of AI with, like, I put in voice chat mode, I toggle it on, and we start talking to it, because then I can pass my phone around and the group can collaboratively build context in a way when and now that we have the Mac app, we can actually do that on a laptop. But the laptop really ties it down to, like, I'm an individual, this is my chat. But we've done this with students where we pass the phone around, and this is actually going back to Kieran, who taught us how he used it to revolutionize his reading and writing and imagination. He said, I will always, when I start to write stories with ChatGPT, I will always say, I'm going to start with a character. ChatGPT help me build a character. Ask me 20 questions about this character. And so he plays this creative director role where ChatGPT says, is this male or female? And he goes, it's male. Does this person harbor a deep, dark secret? Yes, this person does. So we've mimicked this with groups of students in our AI reading pilot. And it's really powerful, because when you say generate the story based on these 20 questions that everyone in the group has participated in, they really lean forward to see if their element comes through in the story.
Yeah, that's right.
It always does. So the same thing goes, about 4 weeks ago, I was with a group of community college instructors in an ESL department. Shout out to Teresa at Golden West College. And we did that with adults, and we said, let's describe some of the challenges that you have. Let's make a fictional avatar of a college ESL instructor. And we just passed around the phone, and they said, well, this person struggles with their students not wanting to participate or being timid, or their students are always on their phone. And they just described every single obstacle. And then I said, hey, ChatGPT, give me 3, 4, 5 ideas about what we might do to make a more interactive learning experience for these community college students. And so it did. And then all of a sudden we're like, how does that sound? And so they then were kind of grappling with these several ideas that were generated, and we were able to ask ChatGPT to, like, let's rank them. Which would be the easiest for the professor to do? Which would have the most bang for buck for the student outcomes? And so that was a use that they weren't expecting. they had all written lesson plans, which they have to have. So that was a unique kind of perspective, but I always like to use the voice chat mode and have a collaborative context building, which I think is Kunal, it's kind of typical for where we like to go. So we like not to think of AI as a solitary device with one person, but we like to think of it as a way to build community.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Was that audio a little bit breaky for you? Because it was.
I
Or was
felt,
that audio fine?
Okay. Yeah, there's an echo here.
That's amazing. I gotta say, the passing the pie around, that app is phenomenal. I used that a lot. Actually, back during the earlier meetings that we had, I would hold that up to the mic and let people talk to it over the meetings. And Pi did a phenomenal job of that. So, and it kept up with everything that was going on for me in all the conversations. I never dropped it. But so, what do you think about that kind of all the collaborative effort that comes into that? I mean,
it is what AI, this is what, for me, conversational generative AI is for. It is a large language model, right? Based on, again, statistical guessing, depending on what kind of context you're giving the generative AI. But, excuse me, the connections that it can make using the tremendous amount of training data that it has allows us to do something that is harder for us to do organically, which is be able to quickly hypothesize connections between different people, different ideas, different strings of thinking, which is something that we'll when we're collaborating with someone, we'll be like, okay, let's put all the ideas up on the board, and then okay, what do you see, and all of that, and that's a great activity. That's a great exercise. But often when you're brainstorming, it's not about the quality, it's about quantity, and then you'll get to quality later. And GPT provides you that quick quantity that you can just go, put the ideas out. We can refine it we will later, but like as any design thinking activity is, it is not about quality at the beginning. It is just pushing out quantity.
I love this because, see, you guys are getting to experience the most fun, to me, the most fun and easy part about this. And I say easy, I mean, you're not having to deal with a bunch of math in the background to manage it and coding, but you're getting to use it and boost the human element directly. This is not some, hey, let's set up this system to retrieve information and do all these things on the corpus. No, right now, here, live, on the spot, engagement. And to me, that's so incredible. I mean, coming from a musical background and a performance background and someone who like loves the stage, like here and now, that's it, the show, like let's do this. And jamming with people and collaborating, it's so powerful. And you learn so much about other people and what their values are and what the overall arching like goals can really come to and like what you can really achieve, which is more than you thought you could most times, But I love this. And rarely, like I said, do people just get to have that kind of fun and no one hold them back. So I'm just so incredibly happy to see this being supported and encouraged in Orange County. You both covered what, 20 something districts? What is it?
Is it 28, Wes? I think it's 28.
Yeah, it's 28. Plus we have internally in the county office of ed, we have schools for students who are incarcerated, students who are expelled or have moved out of the traditional setting, and then we have special ed. And that's maybe a small number compared to the county, but it's a very, like, we're honored to be able to interface with those students because it's a population we care passionately about. Kunal was administrator at a continuation school. That's part of his past. My wife taught at a continuation school. I worked at a virtual school where a big part of our students were people who didn't fit in with traditional school for schedule reasons or behavioral reasons. And so we kind of have this honored, I'm going to call it a playground, but that's kind of making light of it. We have this partnership we're able to do with students. And actually one of our student apprentices was from Access, and he is the audio engineer on our podcast. And I interviewed him for the 100 Conversations and 100 Days About AI. and I just saw he had a passion for not really audio, but vintage records and Frank Sinatra. And I was like, who are you, kid? Like, what is this? And so I emailed him. I said, hey, do you want to learn to be an audio engineer, just out of that like asset he was bringing? And I mean, Kunal, you can testify. The first day, I just laid out the equipment. I said, I'll help you plug things in, but you're going to learn by doing. And he took to it like a fish to water. And that's the kind of attention we need on our students, is where are they strong? What are they interested in? What are they passionate about? And we need to really put them in a problem space, not like sink or swim. Like, you're helping us do this podcast. We need you. We trust you.
Right.
You're on the same level with us in terms of making this dream a reality.
And I think what Wes really just said there, we trust you. He used the word trust. And I think there's two pieces to the trust. One is the trust in the student. And the second is the trust in yourself, that you can now navigate an uncertain way that this is going to develop. It's sort of the cornerstone to inquiry or project-based learning, right? Is like, as the educator, you have to be comfortable with things going off the rails, things not going according to plan, whatever that plan may have been. You have to be comfortable with that uncertainty. And so there's a trust in yourself that, hey, I can manage this if it doesn't look it, and I'll work together with the student. I'll work together with my own like experience that I have. Maybe we'll throw it into an AI model and see where we can go if things are going places that are harder for me to navigate. But it's the trust. And what Wes did is like, because I wasn't part of finding these interns. This was Wes's sort of genius. Is he has an ability to just sort of smilingly allow the clown show to happen. And in allowing this show to happen, it creates magic. And with our audio engineer, Mark, he's again, like, Wes is completely, like, he was not an audio engineer before. He had not even worked on a soundboard. He hadn't done any of this stuff. And within that first episode that we did, Wes and I, when we were listening back, we were like, wait a second, I'm noticing he's fading out some of the little like sound effects that we had, that at the beginning it wasn't fading out. And he's doing this, and his timing is perfect, and all of that is perfect. And we were just like, wait a second. I was completely certain that he had done this before somewhere. It had to be. There's no way he could have just figured that out sitting there live. But he did.
Emerging. That's just how you do it. That's how you grow, man. That's incredible. And Wes, you got a big heart, man. You do a lot of good things for people. And
you're kind.
You put some good intention out there, and you put it to work, and you put it into action, man. And that's incredible. And that's, one of we're all, cohorts of the heart here. Okay. Because we all share this, and it's so powerful. And so there's just a lot for everyone to learn here, in terms of, the spirit in which you go into something in this is really important. It's that whole, let's try. You got to throw spaghetti at the wall with people and try and not worry about it. And no one's to blame, when something doesn't work out of the gate. It rarely does anything ever work, period.
And if it did, then what would we learn in the process? Like it needs to actually fail a little bit. Otherwise, what are we going to learn?
If it worked the first time, it'd trick you into thinking things are easy all the time. I would hate to think that.
And Daniel, like two things I think we hold on to about kind of the work is, one, we're not precious about the educational system as some people are, because we don't really assert that it's working for everybody all the time. That's not a truth for us. We think there's large places for opportunity for growth. And so it's better to experiment, because we believe we're not really serving everybody the way we should be. And then the second thing is, and this is kind of a recent realization for me, is because AI is so new, we don't have like years of vetted data on like research-based approaches to AI. And so what I forget the book or podcast I heard this in is as the number of publications and research have gone up, our ability to innovate in every industry has dropped, because people believe you have to know all of the data before you can act. And really, we're in a space where I think it's just a good fit for Kunal and I, we like to charge ahead. We like to engage people's hearts and minds and get into a situation where, and thankfully we're blessed with leaders like Kathy Boyd, Dr. Sonia Llamas, Dr. Ramon Miramontes, where they're like, we hire you, we trust you, go and make things happen and make good things happen. And we're very lucky. Not every educational institution is so encouraging, and often people feel fear and judgment around trying new things.
I can't imagine trying to find you guys in a haystack because you're so rare. And I don't think that, and everybody's really fortunate to have each other in this whole, soup of things. The ecosystem that you guys have, particularly in Orange County, I mean, it's incredibly dense, but it's also ripe with opportunity. It is rich with resource. You have people that are in the know who are willing, who are adept at enough technology to realize this is just another wave that would really help everyone to get on to a certain degree. And another thing is, back to the matter of the heart. I mean, if you have a problem learning something, you have a teacher with infinite patience, and even they're human, they're going to need to take a break, but you've got this AI and a kid has problems with something, can keep asking that thing until it gets it. And there's no dignity lost. There's no embarrassment. It's this private learning thing. And I always felt like at least half the people out there who have, or more, who have problems with learning, usually it comes down to just getting over small bumps in the path that maybe they're uncomfortable, taking a risk to talk about, or just they're embarrassed to not get it when everybody else does. I think
and now I'm hearing teachers more and more, and I'm so encouraged by this. I'm hearing teachers more and more integrate reviewing student prompts as part of helping student growth. So there's the idea that there's one English teacher who I was just reading said, I don't actually grade the papers anymore. Now I only grade the prompts. And the idea being that, if the prompting is right, the paper is going to be good. Like, I don't need to grade the paper. Like, it's going to be fine.
It's the meta of it. It's teaching people how to do, like, this other thing. The game is a bigger research game. How many papers can you write on this that are different? I mean, and what, because I learned so many ways of doing it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And knowing the limits also, again, if they're using ChatGPT 4.0 or they're using Claude, like the latest one, they're going to have phenomenal results with what's called the context window. But one of the things, and I'll just say this, and also I'm just going to say to everybody out there, thanks for coming in. We're going to have Kasir Rafiq come up in a few moments and ask some questions and talk about some of his goals and a lot of this reaching 1 million students in 1,000 days with AI. Okay, so this is in accord with a lot of our mission here. But I just want to say something technical for everybody, and that is that when you have what's called a RAG system, a regenerative augmented or retrieval augmented generation, when the AI is actually given some uploaded document to look at, if you have a context window that's as big as the document itself, you'll do better to just upload it directly to it and like copy and paste that in. But a lot of the things on the back end, when it gets vectorized, it starts to sort of blend things together in a way where you're not getting all of that in a contiguous form, and you might not be able to dig out all the nuggets. We call it the needle in the haystack test, where you try to find some weird, put a passcode in there at the very bottom of something and then try to fish it out later and can't find it. So you have to be careful about how you use these systems. But right now, you guys are having the best of luck. And you're using a lot of, you said Pi and you said GPT 4. What other tools are you using? Or,
I mean, as we're using, I mean, our job is to use them all. So
that's right.
The ones that I use most, Claude. Wes has a running joke that he thinks that I'm sponsored by Claude or by Anthropic because of how much I talk about Claude.
Every day there's a Claude
it's really
promo.
Good, though. It's really good.
Yeah. And so I use Claude. I pay for it. I use Opus. I use GPT 4.0 GPT 4.0 and Ideogram for image generation, Suno for music. Cool. And I know, Wes, you've been using Gemini lately, right?
Gemini and Google's AI Studio, like that one to me is the most interesting. And Kunal, you've done some interesting things with uploading video and having it kind of critique, your skateboarding form.
Skateboarding critiques,
I think because we're educators, we're looking for ways in which Teachers could use this, feedback tools. I think, Kunal, you skipped over, you mentioned Suno, but I think it's worth mentioning again that music creation for educators to collaboratively build songs about topics in the classroom. Then there's this, and Daniel, your musical background, I have so many questions because I feel like something we've not done a great job in education is addressing digital music. Like we have band, we have marching band, we have all these things, but the kids are not listening to marching band. Like the kids are their culture, right? Yeah. The kids are in this, Fruity Loops and Pro Tools and all this stuff, and we don't address it. And so one of the things I'm looking forward to in our student AI convening next year is to have some sort of digital music arena where students can build things together and share things.
It's important if you have. So I have used all this stuff for years, okay, and I've had from digital electronic studios, Roland electronic drum kits, digital pianos. I have an Ableton studio. I have Focusrite. I have all the things. I've got great microphones, all hanging out all over the place. Okay, so what it is if you get kids into digital production who are also, if you do this as a parallel to music itself, like general band, it's a different way of looking at music written out in notation. And so you could write it in notes. You can use pie charts, you can use fractions, or you can look at it on a stream of little bitty squares like you do in like Fruity Loops or something. It's math, people. This is math. This is one of the most engaging, tangible forms of mathematics, other than just like calculators and math, that you can get, where it's like, hey, this is fun. I can do stuff with it. What is a triplet? What are these fractions about? Well, you're going to hear it, and then you're going to feel it, and you're going to get in the groove, and you won't forget it. And then that's your curriculum, is feeling the, understanding math through the pulses and the ticks of it in some cases. But I think you've brought up a great point, which is there is a lack of that. And most of it is symphonic concert and marching band. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. Mardi Gras happened in Mobile, Alabama, and then it spread over to New Orleans. But that was a big deal, okay? And like that was like almost the reason you were a marching band.
Yeah, cool.
Such a big deal. So, anyways, I have such a respect for that, and I'm a Suno user, by the way. I do have. I love it. And I'm not afraid of any of this. I'm an artist, and I use Midjourney. I've created videos and animations. I used to do claymation back when I was a kid with analog film.
I love that.
And you know what? None of this intimidates me. If anything, it excites me as a tool. And so, but there are a lot of ethical concerns out there that we can't overlook. At the same time, it's just really important to say, hey, this tool can be used in so many ways. Be careful how you use it. It's like any tool, this drill can build houses, or it can drill holes for the sake of holes. You know what I mean? It can damage. So it's important to have that. So let's talk. I want to bring up Kassir. Kassir, get ready here, because I'm going to ask you to talk and probably bring you up into the spotlight here. Kassir, can you hear us there?
Do you hear me?
There we go. Okay, great. Excellent. Yeah. It won't let me spotlight you here, but there we go. Kassir, are you in Dubai today? Where are you at?
No, I'm currently in Pakistan, but hoping to travel sometime in July.
Gotcha. Excellent. So, Wes, have you had a chance to meet Kassir yet? I know Kunal has.
I have not. I'm honored to meet you, Kassir.
Thank you very much. And I think I can start a little bit. Maybe Vas, he doesn't know about myself. Vas, it's me, Kassir. I'm originally from Kashmir, but I've been working in humanitarian sector for the last almost 18 years in different conflict and volatile context settings, including Pakistan, Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Myanmar, Cameroon, and most recently I put my hands in Ukraine as well. So mostly I worked with different international humanitarian organizations. But since last year, when we came to know about artificial intelligence, I tried to dig a little bit and started to think outside of the box that how best we can utilize this. Because right now I'm super, super jealous with all of you, because you have a lot of knowledge about AI, different tools which you guys are using in that part of the world. And I can see there is a huge, huge gap between your knowledge and my knowledge. So this jealousy is super positive, okay? And this is the way how I started to build up the foundation of AI Future Lab, where I'm potentially aiming to empower individuals and organizations with advanced AI knowledge and capabilities so they can effectively and responsibly utilize AI within their institutions. And at the same time, I'm trying my best to learn. As Dan said, like, I'm a student, so I also consider myself as a student, because for me this is something super new. I mean, I just came to know about artificial intelligence in the last quarter of last year, and that really inspired me, because it was the beginning, and I was thinking, okay, it is a great opportunity for me to dive into this and then try to see that how best I can bring this innovation within the humanitarian sector. And that's the reason why I wanted to propose a consortium project for humanitarian actors called AI Human Dev Alliance, where I would like to invest on local organizations or civil society institutions, because they do not have resources, they do not have expertise. And I wanted to speak with people like you. I wanted to speak with institutions, those who are expert and experienced in AI, and try to build up or strengthen the capacities of those local institutions so they can settle down, they can manage their problems by responsibly utilizing AI within their own communities. And the other thing which Dan mentioned earlier, that I set up a mission for myself to educate. Oh, that the title of the mission is super interesting. So I set up a mission titled Mission 1 Million, where I'm aiming to educate 1 million students with advanced AI skills and responsible AI practices in next 1,000 days in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. I know that I'm super ambitious, but if I can look around, I can see a lot of people, those who are experienced like all of you, and I'm reaching out to some others. I'm reaching out to Microsoft. I'm reaching out to Google. I'm reaching out to OpenAI. I'm knocking their doors. I'm telling them that if you will not do this right now, then after 5 years, this gap which I can see right now will be super, super huge, and we wouldn't be in a position to catch artificial intelligence. And that is the reason why I would like to invest on teachers as well as on students. So hoping to organize a virtual dialogue in late July among AI experts and teachers from Asia, Africa, and Middle East. And I would like to also engage some potential international organizations like Save the Children, UNICEF, and some others, along with the representatives of Ministry of Education from those countries, where we would like where we would like to have a consultative dialogue with teachers and try to understand that what are their expectations, how they are perceiving artificial intelligence as part of the education, and how people or institutions, those who are outside, let's say in US or in Canada, those who are experienced, those who already did this blood test and try to share with us the learning, so we can at least strengthen our capacities. We can strengthen the capacities of those teachers or institutions. So this gap, which I can anticipate right now, we can minimize this in next 5 years. So this is who I am. This is the vision I am keeping in my pocket, and this is the way how I'm proceeding ahead. But again, what Kunal mentioned earlier, that I do have a trust on myself that I can do this, and I do have a trust on people because they do have an interest on artificial intelligence. If they will not have an interest on artificial intelligence right now, then they will like regret after 5 years. So I'm like super optimistic. I'm having a rich confidence on myself that I can do this, but without potential collaboration, without strong partnerships, it is really, really difficult for me, because in this part of the world, the knowledge is very limited. People are trying to learn right now. Everybody is in the same queue, but you guys are super experienced. You already did this in your country. So I think it is a great opportunity, and I do believe in sharing and learning. And I would like to ask you, or I would like to suggest that, keeping in view your knowledge, your tools, and whatever you have done so far, you have to have a AI cluster, like the cluster what we have in humanitarian sector, like food security cluster, like a shelter cluster, protection cluster. So you have to have a AI cluster where you can bring all the resources, where you can provide advices, where you can provide recommendations to institutions, whether it's government institutions or private institutions or companies or people like me, so they can learn from there. And I think Dan was talking to me the other day, and he was talking about AI library kind of stuff. And I am super, super excited, whatever name you can call it. Okay. But at the end of the day, my major mandate is to educate, to empower both teachers as well as students. And lastly, once I'm going to start this campaign, then I would like to have AI community ambassadors in different areas, in different communities, who we can further empowered on AI, so they can settle down, they can manage their community problems by using AI techniques or capabilities, so they can further promote this within the communities. Because we are not going to stop this around teachers or students, because we need to take care about the communities. We need to take care about the parents as well. So we need to look with 360 degree, and then we can further promote this in next few years. So yeah, thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it to you for giving me this opportunity to speak with both Kunal and Vas.
It's important. And I mean, look, what this is a testament to what I've been saying to both of you, Kunal and Wes, is that like what you're doing reaches all the way around the world. Okay. And it's important for it to be accessible. And I take these transcripts and I can, translate them and make these videos accessible in any language. It's just something I do every week. And localization is really important. It's on my mind every day, actually. And as I learn another language. And so, I hope you see the just the community spirit here, because a lot of people are going to come together over time. And like I said, this is that bonfire that's bringing humanity together and bringing together that engagement, because you can be a part of different groups out there, and then you can meet people, and all of a sudden there's a like mind and a like heart and a like spirit. And then Kassir, you've worked with sustainability for years as well. You've involved in so many different things. But Kassir how old is your daughter? Is she 8? Is that right, Kassir?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then also Kunal, you were talking to your 4-year-old son, right? And you were asked him something about AI, and he said, "What kind of AI?" You want to tell that, for share that with Kassir?
No, it was. I was talking. So me and his mom was taking me to the airport, and I was talking to her about something about her work, and I was saying, "Oh, you can use AI." So she was asking some questions. Okay, how should I prompt it? What kind of questions should I be asking? And so he chimes in, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, we're talking about AI." And he was like, "What kind of AI?" Again, remember, this is a 4-year-old, right? And he's not even on the second half of 4. He's still in the first half of 4. And I was like, "Oh, the one that you talk to, or you type in questions and it gives you answers, and you can talk to it." And he was like, "Oh," and he was kind of deflated. He was like, I thought you were talking about image AI." And I was like, "What? What do you know about image AI?" And of course he knows, because we use it almost every day. It's how we process some of his dreams. He's like, he'll come up, "Oh, I had a dream about this. Let's see if AI can make an image of that dream."
Oh, wow.
We
That's
keep
cool.
daily journals. So like, I'll ask him what his favorite thing of the day was, and then we'll describe it out, and then we'll make an AI image. And what's really interesting is, like, he'll look at the image and he'll be able to tell a difference. So he used to go to a school that was a Spanish immersion school, dual language school, and it had a very diverse student body. He now, for the last 4 or 5 months, he's going to a school on Whidbey Island. And Whidbey Island, as you know, isn't as diverse. And so when he described the image and the image popped up, it was a bunch of kids, because I said a mixed race kid with blah blah blah. And so the AI model created an image with a bunch of different kids in the background. They were all different races. And he was like, "Oh, that looks more like my Spanish school, not like the school I'm going to now." And that gave me an opportunity to talk to him about the AI image generation and how it contextualizes that. Because he was like, why is it making it like my old Spanish school and not like the school I go to now? And then I got to explain to him what that was. So again, a mirror to ourselves, right? I get to use this as a catalyst to speak to him about much larger socio issues in a way that's accessible to him, in an image of him just sitting at a school. Like, how cool is that?
Right. That is amazing. Wow. And that really, because you're getting to show behind the scenes the rationale and the reasoning and the approach of what you're doing to do that. And it's its own learning experience. I think it's a wonderful tool of learning all the way around. Like you're learning, even if you're learning more than just the subject. You're learning about other things along the way. And I think that's key. And then, Kassir, and we both share concerns for safety, and on the other end of things, like, you have things that have happened in Hollywood or things that have happened where, someone's, Scarlett Johansson's voice and all this stuff, that whole debacle of, well, it's so close to it and this and that. It sure seems like really shady that they did that, blah, blah, blah. And then you have things like Kassir, your daughter, you want to talk about that? She was concerned about how safe AI is.
Yeah.
She's only 8.
Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly. I mean, she heard about one case here in Pakistan, and then the other day she was asking me that why OpenAI is not, or AI is not having like proper security protocol, so nobody can use the pictures of the other people, and then they will just like manipulate the situation, what they did with that lady, because she gave me an example for someone, and she is using TikTok and she heard about that lady. So I said, like, to be honest with you, I do not have an answer for your question. But yeah, I mean, I will try my best to raise this whenever I get an opportunity to speak with some like-minded folks and then let you know. But she was like really, really concerned with safety, especially when it comes to like image generation. I'll do, like, she's sitting with me sometimes and trying to like generate different photos in Meta, and then telling me, okay, you can generate some dresses for me, or things like that, or cake for my next birthday. But like, she was super, super concerned with her safety as well.
And this is something I'll mention to everybody out there. This is one of the driving reasons that you have put together your goal to personally help empower 1 million students with responsible and safe AI. Is that correct, Kassir?
Exactly. I think that's the reason, because as I said, like, I have a very limited knowledge, and that's the reason why I'm reaching out to people, those who are experienced, those who already tried this, and Microsoft, for example, or Google or OpenAI, whoever, like, would be like provide support to me or provide collaboration in terms of like further educating the 1 million students with advanced AI skills or responsible AI practices. They should let us know.
To give you access, some kind of discount down there, something on their Azure or something. But do you see everybody? I mean, look, you have one concerned parent, okay? One concerned parent, and now that's enough for them to want to help 1 million students. All right. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
Okay? This is why we do what we do. This is why we work together and not like try to fight all this as individuals. And it takes a village. It takes the whole global village to pull this together. But there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of new, free, accessible, open source technology that you can use on not so great hardware locally in your language. Okay. There are things out there right now. I use actually, I have just enough RAM on my computer, and I have just an okay enough video card to do comfy UI and stable diffusion on my computer, so I can actually generate images with my computer. And it only takes like maybe 30 seconds or so, but there it is, right? It's not as good as DALL-E, but it's open source and it's free and it's right there. Okay. So, and those things grow through the community, through engagement. Those things grow through the participation of everyone, attributing some form of input to it. So anyways, like, so don't ever feel hopeless in any of this, and the disparities are real, but we can bridge those gaps through the heart and through the mind and through intelligence before the infrastructure will ever catch up to it. And that's why it's so important to use actual intelligence and actual humanity, and actual hearts reaching out to get together and have this powwow, because the bonfire is bright right now. And if there's ever been a time, it's now. And now, especially when people have a breath to take over summer until before public schools come back in, there's going to be a new energy coming back into this, I'm quite sure. And I'm curious as to how many other states in the United States, and then also in Canada, all the provinces, what's going to happen in this next semester coming up, and what kind of year is that going to be? So
Well,
I'm
Daniel,
excited. Yeah.
I know Kunal's a little bashful about mentioning his book, The AI Parent,
We
but I
got to bring
really,
this up. Yeah.
so when I met Kunal, he said, I wrote this book because AI was helping me become a better parent. And then he really dove in this last few months, revising it and making it bigger and using use cases from people we met in Orange County. And I, it comes out of a place where he's trying to share and build community, and talk to other parents. And it's really his passion for what happens between him and his son, his daughter, his family is really spilling over into like the work we're doing in Orange County. So like this summer, we're actually heading into generating parent opportunities to engage with us, and even that's part of building local LLMs and things like that. But we actually have parent offerings going on this summer at a conference that our team is doing for the Orange County Department of Ed at the MTSS PLI conference. And it's really, I don't know, Kunal, if you want to speak to that, because I knew like I'm inspired by you because I know that you consider yourself a writer and you spend a lot of time thinking about what you could articulate to share with other people to be, maybe they don't agree or maybe they never thought of it, but you're putting yourself out there and trying to share. Like writing is even though my wife's a writer and so I know a lot of it's solitary, but at the bottom end, it's a generous art and you're trying to give something to the world. So I don't know if you want to say.
I appreciate that, Wes. Yeah, I think I'm the worst book promoter of all time, I've realized.
I know it.
Yeah. But
well, now that I know, I can do something with you, Wes.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you putting the link out there. But no, and I mean, Wes really hit it. It came from a place of a personal relationship that I had with my son and now my daughter. And she's not really AIing as much directly. She's only 10 months right now. But it was at first, it was like, oh, here's practical tips that can help me be a parent. That was what I published in March of last year. But this time, we're talking about like AI as helping you think through things and support. Like I have a chapter on the AI art things that we do, the AI image generation. I have one about creating family goals using AI. Navigating difficult conversations like you might have as a parent with your kid or your kids are having with one another or with a teacher or something like that. Meal planning, right? Like what a cool way to just bring the family together using taking pictures of what's in your fridge, creating meal plans, and then like working on a Sunday dinner and bring it all together. But there's also the like bigger questions like Kassir brought up from his daughter of safety and also of just like where's this going to go as far as our model that we have right now of we're rearing kids to be successful in this global capitalist system that we have that is going to be really sort of shook to its core when AI becomes truly embedded in industry, and especially when we start to have potentially self-propagating agents that can go out and do whatever it needs to do. Like we're not talking about the same workforce, but what does that mean for parents, right? What does that mean as a parent who you're like, I'm preparing my kid for the world, but what is this world? And so these are questions that don't have answers right now. But I don't think we can not start asking questions. We have to start asking questions right now.
You got to have a laundry list. I mean, look, and again, we're all students together on this. It kind of leveled the playing field, no matter how old you are. If you can speak and think, whether you're an adult or you're a child, AI is a very, this generative AI is not the classic AI that we grew up with that came from the 1950s, okay, with optical character recognition, or then we started having predictive text. That was the thing that we all started experiencing as a whole, as a society. Oh, predictive text. We would play games with it. Oh, just type a few words into Google and see what it says for autocomplete. Now generating images and movies and music and everything, and it's outstanding. And so, but it's still, again, it's a level playing field because it's so easy to engage with and use. Anybody could just luck out and find a magic prompt or come up with something and find gold. And it's so ripe with opportunity. I really believe in it. Like, I think everybody can draw and everybody's got music in them. You know, I have all these little, you know, mindful, small, but powerful beliefs about humanity. And I think this is one of those factors where it's like, oh, it's ripe. And you could just get it.
Imagination, right? Some people talk about like, oh, I'm not as imaginative. I'm not, and I'm like, no, you are. You have had it maybe drilled out of you. In you know, I try to make this analogy. I'm like, look, our brains are so big that our parents have to hold our heads up for the first 6 months of our life. Like our neck can't hold our head up. That's how heavy our brains are. Our brains are so big that our skull has to collapse to get through the birth canal, and we have like a hole in our skull for the first year of our life. Like that's how big our brains are. That is what we do. That's what we do best. And AI does nothing. Generative AI, it does nothing better than reflect all of that stuff that we've put out in the world. And again, we got to pay mind to how we've put that stuff out, what kind of stuff we've put out, and therefore what kind of responses are statistically determined to be the right way to answer certain questions. But this is creativity and imagination is who we are.
Right. And I mean, this is the thing. I mean, like even before AI or generative AI, most recently in the last 2 years, we've had so much, you know, drama and public, you know, discourse across what's real and what's not. And this is fake and this ad and this spam and this phishing attack and what is real. And when you read something, is it really telling you the truth? And so we all learned a lot of lessons before modern AI happened in the last 2 years to go, hey, we should have already been scrutinizing everything this whole time. It's like, oh, it get past your radar and you start believing something, you know, it's like, nah, this tool is incomplete. It's guessing. It is a guessing machine. And it's working with all the things we've given it. So garbage in, garbage out. If you give it bad data, guess what? You're going to have bad stuff happen. And it's amazing. So even when you're working with your own content, you'll find that if you have a misspelling in something, whatever last spelling it sees of something is what it's going to take as the truth, and it's going to completely misspell it from there on out. And you have to go, oh, wait a minute, it was me. I was that source of bad data. And so, but you're right. I mean, here we are. We have the advantages of so many tools available for free that it really is just a matter of access now. Access in language, access in the internet itself, and then what countries and what locations actually have that available, you know, because depending on your country, you may not have access to XYZ. Okay. It's just like you're here in America and you want to watch something that's old Japan animation, you know, old animation from Japan. Good luck, you know, because it's sealed off somewhere. You can't, they don't want, you know, it's not for you, depending on where you're at in the world. So, but we're lucky. And so it's up to us to share that wisdom and knowledge and experience, whether we crash and burn or we succeed or whatever. It's really important that we share it with people. So
Daniel, I think that reminds me of, we had a student network this year called Fancy, Forward AI Network of Students and Innovators. They became the core of the breakout sessions and keynote sessions. But one of our goals is to just enable other places through kind of a simple structure to start chapters. And we have like interest in Northern California and Colorado, and we would love just to have something like chief science officers where students write an action plan of how they're going to promote STEM. We're going to do something similar. But our goal is next time we do a student convening, we don't just want voices from Orange County. We want those voices, student voices from Orange County, to be mixed with students from Northern California, Colorado, across the nation, across the globe. And we're very lucky that the people who helped us, our career ed team and our boss and our boss's boss, we live streamed. So our students who have family in India, they actually got to watch the live stream. And we saw that on some of the analytics, but we would love to have that next time around, have, you know, video feeds coming in and real synchronous connections with students around the globe.
You should, you know, I'm always willing to help facilitate something. I'll tell you, I have, let's see here, my friend Caleb Stevens, also a recent cohort of mine. He was the person that did the expose on Texas graders, AI graders with me. And he was a part of the National Science and Math Foundation. I forget the exact acronym, but they help implement STEM programs in high schools and up. And so it was a large amount of what he did at the time, and he's still very passionate about it. And so he's in Dallas Fort Worth, and so I have a lot of wonderful friends and other types of educators out there who would really love to put their heads together and just be a part of any kind of open consortium to help share that knowledge and that wisdom and help spread that love and spread that success. Because we need more of that too. There's a lot of being careful out there. We'll always have to be careful. There's a lot of success. That's why that's one of the reasons I was so excited to have both of you on. It was like, hey, here's some people doing it right. Here's some students that get it. Here's some parents that support it. Here's some teachers that love it. Here's some schools that are promoting it. Oh, wow. How can it get any better? Yes, it'll keep going, and it'll keep. That's how it's going to get better. I foresee. You have any last closing words or anything we'd like to promote here before we close out the show? Any questions from the audience? Anybody out there? I know it's been a wild ride. I'd like to thank you, Kassir, for coming on and sharing your goals with us and your your journey with this and your reasons why you're doing what you're doing.
And I look forward, Kassir, to us connecting further so we can work together.
Of course. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak here and share all the information or like a broader vision with all of you. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I think in the end, like Wes and I, like something that we always sort of say, and Wes, chime in if you want or whatever, but like it is this AI revolution, this generative AI revolution and AI revolution in general, has given us a space, unexpected to me, maybe not unexpected to other people, but unexpected to me, of refocusing what it means to be human. And we can no longer have a place to hide if we use AI. If we're using AI, AI exposes us for who we are, and we have to look at that in a raw, truthful, vulnerable way. It's so much positive stuff, but we can't shy away from the stuff that it isn't as positive. We as humans haven't had a spotless history, right? We've done incredible things, like we've sent a rover to Mars. We've had the caves of Ajanta and Ellora in India, the Sistine Chapel, Beethoven Symphony. There's so much incredible stuff that humans have done, and we've also done some terrible things. So AI puts that mirror in front of us, and it reminds us. And so, if there's anything for me that is the most critical part of us engaging in AI, is people ask, what's the best AI tool to use? What's the best AI tool to use for this? And this is kind of corny, but I always say it, the most important AI tool is yourself. And centering yourself in your AI journey is what's going to be successful with it. That's how you're going to be successful with AI.
Sage advice, and definitely I can see that's your path right now, and that's my path too. And it's amazing the journey that we experience as individuals with this. And when we share it, all of a sudden we're like, oh, that happens to you too. And then all of a sudden it's a party, and all of a sudden you're talking to your neighbors and engaging people in new types of learning and talking about things inside out and turning the system into something new, and changing it for the better. I think this is the best thing that's ever happened. And in terms of like just a social phenomena, like you had the internet. Last weekend I had Wes Kussmaul on. He was the inventor of Delphi, the first internet encyclopedia. He had the first social networks ever. And then you had like Prodigy, and then you had all AOL and all these people. And to see all these things grow, and to see, hey, it takes dreamers to do this. It takes people taking a risk. It takes putting your heart into the work and really believing in yourself, or at least believing in those goals to help, because we're going to fall. We're going to have mistakes. We're going to succeed. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. But if we all do it together, it's a lot easier, right? So anyway, thank you both. Wes, I love your work out there. I love the heart you put into everything you do. Kunal, you've been a guiding light and showing me a lot of the insight into behind the scenes at the summit. You've shown me so many things along the sides. I hope everybody stays in touch and follows what OrangeJuice.AI is doing. And that is officially part of Orange County Department of Education as well. You have a wonderful blog. You reach a lot of different people, and I'm honored to be your friends and an ally forever. Okay. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out. This is our 10th show. Wes, Kreisel, Kunal, Dalal, thank you so much for your time. Keep it juiced. All right. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Enjoy your time off, catch some waves, have a good time with your families. And we'll see you all very soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Goodbye.
Wonderful weekend.
Bye.